raised in the Spiritist family. Alex has been involved with the Spiritist doctrine since the 1980s, first as a learner by studying and reading books on Spiritism. He started working actively with Spiritist activities in the early 1990s and moved to the U.S. in 2001. Since then, he has performed several roles in different Spiritist centers as a pass giver, a medium, speaker, and treasurer. Today, he is responsible for the English program at the Love and Charity Spiritist Center in Orlando and is also treasurer of the Kardakian Spiritist Federation of Florida. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Alex Alves. I still have problems with my Portuguese, sorry.
Don't worry. That's fine. Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you so much for your warm introduction. Thank you guys for your presence over here. It's a real honor for me to be over here today, trying to share some of the thoughts and the studies that we have done in the past few years about the Spiritism. But you know, it's quite a big challenge for me today, because first I have to come over here right after Kirsten, a beautiful lady with a very nice English, with no accent at all. She speaks a really good English, huh? I have to talk to her, see where she learned that, because I love it. That was very, very nice. So that's the first challenge. You come right after that, right after her, a beautiful girl with a nice voice, and then you come over here, a short, fatty, ugly guy with this accent, pretty heavy. But anyways, that's just the first challenge. The second challenge, I think that I just overcame it because everybody was paying attention when I was about to fail over here, right? So that means that you guys are awake. Exactly what I was expecting for the last talk of the day. Well, thank you so much. I think that now is going to be quite a little easier to conduct our talk and our presentation. So today we're going to be talking about a topic that has been around in our lives, I would say pretty much our entire lives, because the average age over here, I would say it's low 30s. So we are around the 30s, 30-something years. And the last at least 20 or 25 years of our lives, we have been hearing or listening or somebody talking about the end of the world. We grew up with that. Actually, when we first started, that was the year 2000. And secondly, this is not working. But anyways, we'll figure it out later. When we first started to listen about the end of the world, everybody was talking about the year 2000, because the world was going to end by the year 2000. We were going to have a big cataclysm. We're going to have a huge earthquake, volcanoes, or a planet we're going to hit against Earth. Life will be extinguished. Everybody was kind of very worried about that. We had that bug of millennia. You guys remember that? All the computers are going to stop, people running and rushing to the banks to take the money out of their accounts because they were afraid that they're going to lose the money and everything. And the year 2000 came and nothing happened. And our lives just keep going as it was going as that. Then all of a sudden, someone very bright decided to make some money about the Mayan prophecy. And now, because now I have a date, now I have a perfect, thank you. Which one? The bottom one. The bottom one. So what is broken over here? It's me, it's not this. Oh, okay. That's a nice way to say that. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Very nice. No, but do you know, that's a Spiritist perspective. He had a nice way to say that I had something wrong with me. That's what we learn in Spiritism. Very nice. Thank you so much. Then somebody had a bright idea to make some money out of the Mayan prophecy, saying that now I have a date. The world will end on December 21st, 2012. Because that's when the Mayan calendar will finish. There is nothing after that. But people didn't realize at that time that they don't have anything further than December 21st, 2012, because there was no more space on that circle. So that's why they decided the world was going to end on that day. But what happens? what are the implications of these on our daily lives? Well, if you know something is going to end, if you know something it's going to be destroyed, why should I be worried? Why should I be worried with my own growth, my inner transformation, fighting against my own imperfections, loving my neighbor, I love myself? Why should I be worried about that if everything is going to end? You know, if I have a car that I have a mechanical problem, why should I be worried in fixing my car if I'm going to be selling that car later on, or I'm going to give that car as a down payment for a brand new one? Why should I fix a leak that I have in my house, a leak on the ceiling, or cracks in the walls and everything if I'm going to sell in my house? Why should I be worried about that? So as we passed the last 20, 30 years of our lives listening about the end of the world, we had no motivation to be fixing ourselves because everything was going to be away. Everything is going to be gone. Why should I fixing myself if everything is going to be destroyed? Well, year 2012 came, passed it by, and nothing happens. And now what? What do we do now? Well, last time that I checked, there was no new information about the new date for the end of the world. Nobody is mentioned anything else about it, so probably I think it's about time for us to start to thinking on a new changing. Not the change of the end of the world, but the change of the end of our own issues, struggles, and problems. It's about time to take a look at ourselves and see what we have to fix in ourselves so they can try to fix the world afterwards. Because no transformations, no changes will be done in the entire world if we don't change ourselves first. The changes, the modifications, everything that we are expecting, they are not external transformations. They are all internal transformations. We got to transform ourselves first, so then with our behavior, love, examples, we can change other people, we can change our society, and then we can change the world. All the changes and all the transformations that we are expecting, God is not going to bring that for us. We'll have to do that on ourselves. And now, that's the time that we should be reaching. That's the time. The time has come for us to work on our own transformation and our own evolution. On the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 20, on the passage that says, the workers of the Lord, we have the following phrases. The time approaches when those things that having been announced for the transformation of our humanity will be accomplished. All those who have worked in the field of the Lord with disinterest and no other motive than charity will be blessed. Their working days will be paid 100 times more than was expected. Blessed are those who had said to their fellow men, let us work together and unite our efforts so that when the Lord arrives, he'll find his work finished. And then the messaging goes on and everything. But the most important phrase over here is, the time approaches when those things that have been announced for the transformation of humanity will be accomplished. So the time has come for our transformation, for our changes, not kind of a material changes, which is going to be a few material changes in ourselves and our bodies and in our world in the near future. But the most important, it's the moral transformation. We have that pretty much rebuild ourselves with the true basis of the true moral values that Christ has brought to us 2,000 years ago. According to one of the questions on the Spiritist book, who was the most perfect being that have ever been on earth, and who is the most perfect moral example that we should follow? And the answer is the shortest answer on the Spiritist book, is Jesus. If we somehow can follow his footsteps, if we somehow, as Kirsten just said, we can understand, feel, and practice his teachings and his line of work, we'll be getting closer to this transformation, and we're going to be closing to our perfections. As we saw during the day today, we are spiritual beings. We are immortal spirits that for some time, as of now, we are having our earthly experiences. We are not material bodies that we are having an spiritual experiences. It's the other way around. We are immortal spirits that we are living on earth at this moment because that's part of our journey on understanding the things that happens with us and doing our own efforts to change ourselves. God is perfect. God is justice. Nothing will come for us on an easy come, easy going basis. We have to fight for what we want. We have to fight with ourselves, not with our neighbors, not with our loved ones, not with our spouses back home, because they are not guilty of our own problems and behaviors. We are. So when we decided to fight against ourselves on those line of thoughts, we'll be able to reach the perfection and reach the knowledge that Jesus has taught us, and God is asking us to reveal, and he's saying that again. But besides that, when we start to think, well, is there any reason, is there any sense in the end of the world, as we saw on this picture over here? This movie, 2012, gross, I don't know how many millions of dollars, because people just rush to the movies to see how the world would end and everything else. But if you start to think, is there any any reason? Is there any sense in the end of the world? So let's just think for a second. God had created the entire universe, not the solar system, not the Milky Way, the entire universe. And then he had decided that there is this blue planet down in the corner of the Milky Way. I don't like that much the planet. You know, I think that I made some mistakes over there on that planet, and I just have to extinguish the planet. Well, if we haven't learned it yet, there is no mistakes in God's plans. There is no mistakes in God's creation. So there is nothing that God had created that is a problem or is not perfect. So why he would destroy ourselves? Why he would destroy the earth, the planet that we live, just because the humankind cannot reach the perfection that he's expecting for? Well, let me tell you a secret. God has all the time in the universe for waiting for us. He's not in a rush. He can wait a few billion years until we reach there. He doesn't have to destroy the earth. Why he would destroy one of his creations? Makes no sense to destroy that. So, one of the books of Allan Kardec, which is the posthumous work, says, "Do not believe, however, at the end of the material world, the earth has progressed since its inception and has yet to move forward and not to be destroyed." This is in the posthumous work from Allan Kardec. What is going on now? And we have reached one of those stages in our lives when we have to jump for the next level. We already have the knowledge. We had already the master that came to see us and left all the teachings that we needed for it. And now it's about our time to move it forward. Mankind, however, reached one of its periods of transformation, and the earthly world will rise up in the hierarchy of the worlds. Actually, what we are seeing right now and what we are about to see in the next few decades, I would say, at least, it's about the same thing that Earth has seen and happened about 15,000 years ago. We already went through a process like this. On the scales of the worlds, we have the primitive worlds, which Earth was something like that until, I don't know, millions of years ago or something like that. But we were a primitive world when we have the dinosaurs and all of those humongous creatures living up here. Then we pass at that stage. Today, according to the enlightened spirits, they tell us that we are a world of trials and atonements, moving forward to the stage of the world of regeneration. After the word of regeneration, we're going to have the words, the perfect words, and then the celestial words. It's basically, that's the scale that we see on the Spiritist book and also on the Gospel according to the Spiritism. So we are in this transition. And that happened also about 15,000 years ago when people from Capel, a planet about 45 lightning years from Earth, they were being putting away from their planet because on that planet it was going on exactly the same thing. People, they were moving forward, they were moving to another step on their evolution process, and the people that did not belong to their planet anymore because they didn't have the feeling, they didn't have the knowledge, they were not applying all the knowledges on their lives, they were invited by Jesus to come to Earth, help Earth to evolve technologically, and they would have over here an opportunity to learn based on their own works and have an opportunity to go back to their planets. So that's when the Capelinos, that's how we say that, they came to Earth and they helped us to develop everything that we see, especially from 15,000 years from now. So, how did you find out about that? How you guys, you had lunch, you went for a nap, and you just had this beautiful dream about that? Well, yes, I had lunch, I had a nap, I would say that I had 20 minutes nap, but I didn't have this miraculously dream by myself. These, if you read the books, especially from Emmanuel, on A Caminho da Luz, or the Pathway of Light, Andrea, is that the translation in English?
On the way to
On the way to the light. You see specifically Emmanuel, the Spirit of Emmanuel, describing all of this evolutionary process from Earth. And they tell us about this, the coming of the Capelinos, helping the people on Earth on that time to evolve themselves. Because if not, how people they were in the middle of the desert be able to build those pyramids? As of today, we don't understand that. All of a sudden, those people that were playing in the sand, with all that sand that they had in the desert, and all of a sudden they decided to build the pyramids, where the knowledge came from. Because that was not something that was evolved. Those monuments, they just show up on Earth from one day to the other. Where the knowledge from the Greeks that they put it together, the concepts of democracy, all of the knowledge from the philosophers that we have on Greece, where that came from, had to be coming from another world more evolved than Earth. That's exactly what we're seeing today. So if you want more information about that, there is a few books out there that I can give the names later on, but it's not something that I just create myself, I made up myself to illustrate our talks. So what is going on with us today has already happened on Earth a few thousand years ago. So if we know that the end, the world, is not going to end as a big catastrophe, what awaits us then? What is going to happen? What are the next steps on our evolutionary process? What is expected isn't the destruction of the material world, but the end of the moral world as we know today. Well, that doesn't mean that we're not gonna have any tsunamis or earthquakes anymore. No, I'm not saying that. Actually, most likely, Earth will still have a few, I would say, geological accidents here and there, because Earth is still, geologically speaking, a very young planet. We are a kind of unstable yet. We still have some tectonic plates moving here and there. We didn't reach our stabilization as a planet yet, so most likely we're going to have a few accidents here and there as well. But we were not going to be destroyed by those accidents. What is going to be destroyed and among us is these moral values that we have today, where pride, vanity, greed, the thirst for power, the selfishness, everything of these will be fading away, will be destroyed. And actually, we can see day by day, each day, fall a piece of this wall of ignorance. especially with the aspects of the internet. Today, the knowledge, the research, the information, it's in our fingertips. We can reach whatever we want. If you go to Google today and you type Spiritism, it's unbelievable what is coming up. If you go to Wikipedia, Wikipedia has all the information about Spiritist Center, who was Allan Kardec, Chico Xavier, everything. The information is out there. So every time that we get in touch with that information, something changes inside of us. And that's the process that we are going through. Unfortunately, it's not a very fast process, because our transformation, as Kirsten was saying a few minutes before, is not that easy and it's not that fast. But if we decide it and we've committed ourselves with that transformation, we'll be able to do that inside of us and help also on this process that we're going to have. Well, but if the earth is not going to be destroyed, how this process, how this change will happen in our lives? We have three aspects when we put them together that will contribute to, I would say, to speed it up a little bit to this transformation process. The first one is the arrival of a new generation, which we can see already today. We can see our kids, our grandkids especially, they are much smarter than we were. I'm not saying that we are stupid. We are just saying that they are more evolved than us. Well, in my case specifically, I feel kind of stupid when my granddaughter, 5 years old, she can play with the iPad and fix my computer much faster than I can. So I feel kind of stupid when I'm comparing to her. But that's a personal case. I'm not saying that all of us have the level of stupidity that I have comparing to that. But this new generation, they are much more evolved, not just technologically, but morally, which is the most important. We have kids giving examples to their parents today. We have kids bringing their parents to the Spiritist centers, to the churches, to the synagogues, to whatever religion aspects you wanted to approach. But we have the kids asking to their fathers, to their parents, to take them for a spiritual connection or something like that. So we have this new generation coming to live around us. We have the transformation of the ones that remain, the transformation of the ones that decided to face their own demons and fight against their own imperfections. They will also help on these changes, on this transformation. And for last, we're going to have the purge and the exile of those that do not complain or do not get along with the new laws that we're going to have, with the new moral values that we're going to have implemented on earth. In order for earth to transform itself and offer this condition of word of regeneration, it is necessary that only spirits with goodness in their actions remain here. The regeneration of the humanity does not absolutely require the complete renewal of the spirits. A modification in their moral disposition suffices. Wow. Thanks God. Thanks God that it's not saying here, in order for earth to transform us, it is necessary that only pure spirits remain here. Because if it was to be only the pure spirits, the perfect spirits, there was no earth anymore. Then the earth would be destroyed because none of us would be here. But what is important, what is mandatory at this point to continue evolving in our progress, is that we have at least the disposition to be changing ourselves and reviewing the values that we have. Just the fact that we are over here, all of us together, on a Saturday afternoon, investing our time, looking and searching for new knowledge and new information and new ways to see our lives, it shows up that we have this disposition, that we are looking for something different for our lives. That's already a step that we're doing towards the look for the perfection and for the evolvement. And if we keep going with that, we'll be able to remain over here. So this entire transformation will be handled on this. These people that are, for some reason, they are not interested, they are too lazy, they haven't seen or they haven't waked up yet for the new value or for the new life or for everything else which is coming, for the new era, let's put it this way, these ones will be invited to reincarnate in another planet, which they can help the other planet to evolve materially and scientifically, because we have a lot of scientific knowledge over here already. So those spirits will be taking that knowledge to another planet that needs their support. At the same time, the same thing that the Capelinos did with us 15,000 years ago. So that means that if I'm not totally transformed, I'm going to be reincarnate in another planet just like Earth a few years ago? No. But if I decided not to change and not at least to try to change, then yes, you're going to be invited to be reincarnated somewhere else. Because the only reason for that is the syntony on our vibrations will not match anymore. Because when we are in a world of regeneration, we are concerned about our neighborhood. We are concerned with our co-workers. We are concerned with the society as a whole. We are concerned with the ways that we are producing our foods. We are concerned with the footprints that we are leaving on this earth. But if we have someone over here which cannot cohabitate or cannot connect with the same values, it doesn't fit on earth anymore. So this person will be invited to reincarnate on another planet. Will he be able to return and come back? Yes, of course, as we're going to see in a few slides down the road. So let's talk a little bit about this new generation. They have a few characteristics which is pretty easy to see and identifying them. First, they are already here. I think there is no questions or no doubts for anyone about that. We can see the small ones, the young ones, with their behavior, with the way that they are interacting with each other and everything. They are already here. It's no doubts about that. They have the intelligence and this reason and logic connections very precautious. They are very smart. They ask very difficult questions on a very early ages. In the past, I remember my kids, my son and daughter, asked me some quite complicated questions when they were 10, 11 years old. Today, my 5 years old granddaughter, she already is asking those kind of complicated questions, type, "Mommy is pregnant. How that baby got over there?" 5 years old. Or, why do I have to love, or why do I have to share my things with my neighborhood if they don't share their things with me? These are the kind of questions that they are asking nowadays. But on the other hand, they have this natural sense of good and spiritual beliefs. They believe in God a lot easier, and they connect with the spiritual side of them a lot easier than we used to connect when we were young. And they have this clear and innate faith. They have those characteristics. And actually, this new generation that we are seeing over here, we already saw them a few thousand years ago when they were inhabiting the Egypt and the Greece as well. The earth will not be transformed by a cataclysm that ends abruptly with the current generation. That's not going to happen. We're going to have a transformation. This generation which is living on earth today will be leaving. A new generation will be coming. New moral values and aspects will be implemented and shared among everybody. And this transition we're going to take a few decades, I would say, until we renovate all the human beings, all the 7 billions of us over here. These new generations will bring more and more evolved moral values and aspects to our lives. Our society will be evolving and progressing with these new values as well. These kids, these new generations which are coming, they are arriving and they are coming just behind us, they will be the ones who's going to be leading the earth towards this total transformation, leaving our respective words of trial and atonements to the word of regeneration. We already have among us today, and that's another, it's not another dream that I just had it. If you go to the book Planetary Transition from Divaldo Franco, I don't think there is already translated to English, but it's the book Transição Planetária in Portuguese. The spirit Manuel Filomeno de Miranda, which was the spirit who dictated that book to Divaldo, he says that we already have living and incarnated among us people from different higher and higher spheres living among us. The ones that are coming from the star of Alcyone and other constellations far away from Earth, where they have much more evolved moral values living among us, because these are the ones who are going to be leading our process of transformation. Because God, He's not just giving or expecting us that we're going to do that by ourselves. God is giving all the support that we need to make this transition. He's not just doing that, well, you guys, I sent you Christ, I sent you the Spiritism, now you do your part. No, He's always supporting us, and this transition will be happening. As these guys are already here, we can see the first results. The fraternity, it's more among those kids. They can share the things a lot easier. Prejudice and intolerance will be fading. Fall of dynasties and governments. We had the Arabic Spring 2 years ago. Those revolutionary guys, they didn't have any weapons. All the revolution was done just by the protest. The Occupy Wall Street movement as well, they were all pacific. They were just sitting on the floor, sitting on the ground, protesting. It's totally different when we remember about the hippie movement that we had over here on the 60s. Everybody was on the streets, everybody was walking. We had a lot of people breaking up a lot of things, destroying a lot of conflicts with the policy and with the forces and everything, which we didn't have over here with those two movements. So it's a different way to protest, with peace, with just for the fact that you want to change something. Even in Brazil, if you guys are not familiar with Brazil, the Brazilian people is one of the most pacific people that you can find on earth. Well, it's about 5 months now that we have people going out in the streets every day to protest against the government, pacifically. So these transformations are already happening. So we already have the first results on that. The purge and exile, it's not forever. As soon as we have reach the level of the moral values that we needed to come back to earth, we're going to be coming back also. That's the example of Capel. Most of the people from Capel that came on that time, they already went back. Just a few stayed behind. Some of them, because they asked to stay, because they like it and they want to help, keep helping Earth on this evolvement process. And just a few that didn't learn everything that they needed yet, but they are still here. But most of them went back to Capel. And when we do that, we feel that we have been exposed from the paradise, because we are so used with that wonderful life that we have that feeling to want to go back. So we need to evolve to be able to return. And actually, most of the people say now, oh, why are you on earth? Because I want to evolve. I want to progress. I wanted to live on a different world. I said, yes, okay, goodbye, good trip for you. I want to stay. Okay. Are you nuts? You want to stay over here? Yes, of course I want to stay over here, because now it's become good. Now we're going to have our planet in the way that we always desire it. Now that it's about to be fixed, why should I leave? I want to stay over here. This planet will be fixed by ourselves, with the transformation that we are imposing to ourselves. So, now let's talk a little about these transformations of the ones that remain. So we talked about how this transformation is going to happen with the new generation, the people that are going to be asked to live in another world. But the most important ones, it's about the transformation on the ones that remain. Because then we're talking about ourselves. And why I brought these slide with the butterfly. Because another day I was just trying to reflect on that. A butterfly, before it's a butterfly, it was a caterpillar. Disgusting. Nobody want even to get close to that. Say, what? If you could reach and just smash that caterpillar, you would do it. Because just the appearance, it was repugnant. It was unbelievably. So the caterpillar, they got tired to be rejected by everybody. So she decided to analyze herself. She looked for a place among the trees where she could be safe. And she was internally, she covered herself, and she internally started to take a look inside of her to see what was wrong, what was ugly, and what was need to be changed. And then, with a lot of pain, with a lot of effort, she spent lots of days, lots of weeks working on that inner transformation. For after a few months, she was able, with the strength of her wings, break up the capsule that she was living. And with all the effort, she was able to open her wings and fly away on a different and totally different animal, with beautiful wings, with color, with love, inspiring other people to do that. So I got the conclusion, if the caterpillar can do it, I think I'm a little bit smarter than the caterpillar, so I can do it also. If God gave the caterpillar the capacity and the ability to transform itself on that way, for sure God got the same capability for myself. But why I can't do it? Because we are very attached to the material values of this earth. We are not looking as much as we should to the moral aspects of our lives, to live those moral aspects command our decisions and our actions. Most of our choices are based solely on the material aspects on what you're looking for. We are not evaluating the moral aspects or everything. So this transformation, it's possible. It represents the regeneration of the mankind. And when we use Christ as a model of behavior and coexistence, we are using exactly the examples and the model that God expects us to use. When we have the Spiritism as a guide on this new transformation, we're going to see and we're going to find the explanations and the reasons. When we see reason and we see logic behind the things, the facts, and the decisions that we make, we get more committed to them because we understand why we decided to do that change. We are not doing that change just because Mama said that I had to change, or because, no, the priest said that I have to change, or the father of my church said, no, if you do this, you go to hell, you don't go to heaven. But why? What if? And what that way? And why not in this way? And why through that door and not through that door? But when we understand, when we have the logical, we committed ourselves much more to that transformation. And the Spiritism brings us that basic knowledge that we need. And then we can commit ourselves because we understand why we should change. Because God is waiting for us. God is waiting for our perfection so we can go back to Him as always He had waited for that. And during this transition and during this process, we also have what we can call the spokespersons from God helping us. New artists, new people that are bringing new knowledge. They are bringing new concepts. We see these artists over here, Akiene. Does anybody here have heard about Akiene before? Go to internet, Akiene. She has a website. It's Akiene. This girl, she's 18 years old today. She's a painter. Take a look at what she had done. She has been on Oprah, she has been on ABC, she has been on 60 Minutes, and she says, no, that's not me. I got the inspiration. I'm an instrument of God doing what I'm doing. She's not saying, no, I'm really good. No, yes, I'm the best. No, I'm an instrument of God. That's not a spokesperson of God. We have the new scientists looking for new knowledge, looking for new information, finding new ways to cure diseases and everything. And they will guide us on this evolutionary process, a scientific process that we're going through. These are spokespersons of God. But when we see the light, when we can reach the light in our lives, we're going to be able to do this transition and this transformation a lot easier. And what that light is, that light represents love. Putting this wisdom, love, into practice, we will so elevate yourselves above all that is material that it will become spiritualized even before you leave this earthly body. This is in the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 11. To love, in the true sense of the word, is to be loyal, honest, and conscientious, to do to others what he would have then done to us. It is to look around oneself and search for the inner meaning behind all of the pain afflicting your fellow creatures, so as to be better able to offer some relief. Is to consider the great human family as your own, because this family will, at some date, re-encounter itself in the other more advanced worlds together with other spirits who, like you, are also God's children destined to infinite elevation. To love is to do unto the others what you would like the others to do to yourself. And when we reach that kind of commitment to ourselves, when we commit ourselves to do that on a daily basis, we'll be contributing to the rebirth and the renewal of our own planet. We'll be, as ourselves, renewing rebirth inside of God's creation. We're going to be doing our part on the great creation, which is our universe. We're going to be helping other people, because to transform other people, we cannot just transform it because we have to tell them how to transform, but how when we example and we live as we say, and we do exactly as the Christ has taught us before. And when we have the capability, when we have that power, the only thing that we can reach it with that is the perfection. The only prize that we can get, it's the love and comprehension of Christ helping us out in every difficult moment that we have in our lives. Am I saying that we are not going to have problems anymore? No, I'm not saying that. We are too much imperfect yet not to have problems in our lives. We are going to keep going with our problems. We still have some struggles to go with. But when we commit ourselves to that transformation will come, and Jesus will be helping us every day, in every moment, in every aspect of our lives. That the light of our great Master Christ can be shine upon us today and all of the days of our lives. Thank you so much for your time.